I mean, right on the money is 4:15. So we'll call the meeting to order, and I'm going to lead us in prayer tonight. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time together, Lord. Just open our hearts and our minds that we would act in the best interest of the public we serve. These things we ask in your name. Amen. Amen. All right. I believe everyone's present except Commissioner Tony Smith had a conflict, wouldn't be able to be here. All right. And so the first item is approval of the minutes from the June 27th, and we also have that special call the 29th. I don't know if you want to do them together or separate. Either way is acceptable to me.
Approve both of them. Second.
All right, motion and second. We're open for discussion. Everybody understands that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so this is the first night for us at the Finance Committee level under the new rules of public comment. And so I think I've spoke to everyone that was not one of the department heads or what have you, but if anyone wanted to speak on a matter, we got a little form. You need to tell us what subject matter you're interested in. I think everybody was okay for tonight. What we have done, twofold purpose. Folks that are watching live or even playback later, the live stream of what's going on, they can hear us because we have the microphones, but when people are reporting from the audience or make a comment or a question from the audience, you don't necessarily hear it very well. So in all of our committees, we are transitioning to a point of contact or a podium that would have a microphone that will capture that so they can hear live. And also, although we don't have it all fully connected at the moment, we'll have the ability to amplify what is being said so everybody else in the room can hear the other people better as we go forward. So it's a work in progress. But so for your committee presentations tonight, ideally we need you to go to the podium. And so maybe you won't talk as long. I mean, you won't want to stand. You might not want to stand as long from there. But that would be that's what we're trying to do there. So is there anybody that wants to make public comment? If you raise your hand or whatever, so I can just make sure. Okay, we don't see any on that. So first item is under new business, solid waste.
Fiscal year went very well as we closed out. We didn't have any kind of problems with that. We're in the process of setting things up for 23-24. Bedford County Solid Waste is fortunate to have received our litter grant again this year in the amount of $51,900. This goes actually through the highway side, but it also covers a lot of things that we do for solid waste. The cost cover for litter guard or litter crew guards, meals for inmates, safety items, and our promotional stuff. All purchases have to be approved by the state before we spend the money. We're audited each year on the things that we have spent. We got a clean audit again this year. Environmental Week is scheduled for September the 26th through the 28th at the Ag Center. We will be helping with items for about 1,200 kids that attend, and the bus costs through our litter grant. This event is well received by school children and covers a host of topics, including recycling, water and soil conservation, air pollution, and a host of other things. A household hazardous waste event is scheduled for September the 16th from 8 until noon at the Ag Center. And the Duck River cleanup is also scheduled for the same day. We will be assisting with that also. We've had just regular calls come in for days of operation, tire pit times, paint disposal. We do have flyers at each one of the centers that we pass out when they do want that. The quarterly reports and fiscal year reports are attached. Recycling revenues for April, May, and June, a total of $59,356. And a savings from not having to take those items to the landfill was $75,65.22. Recycling revenue in June, $23,301.36, 134.12 tons. Cost of going to the landfill for June, $34,039.05, and 973.1 tons is what we disposed. I also have a recycling revenues by grade for fiscal year 22-23. And that total was 1,048.66 on our tons that we recycled, and a total value of 169,712.25. Landfill cost for that same time, 11,444.61 tons, and our county cost was 391,353.32. Any questions on any of the totals? Sylvia?
Gee, what is the, location of the cleanup? Is that Fisherman's Park?
Yeah, it's Fisherman's
Not
Park.
Fisherman,
No,
Rivervine.
right behind the electric company.
It's Rivervine.
Uh-huh.
And what time?
I actually have not heard. I think it's probably 7, that's when they usually do
Okay.
it,
AM.
but I haven't gotten the details on that yet.
Okay.
I just want to add one thing for everybody's information too about the solid waste fund. Since 2019 to now, on the last 4 years, our cost has incurred $128,599 more than it did in 2019. So that cost has went up every single year. It's an average of about $32,000 and some change per year that the cost has went up since 2019. And it looks like this coming year is going to be the same trend of what we're getting. Normally, the average tonnage for the year was around 96 to 10,000, somewhere in that ballpark every year. Now, that tonnage is 11,000 and over. It could be closer to 12,000 time the year's up. So those costs for solid waste part and disposal is going to keep increasing.
Right, and we started seeing that start really climbing during COVID.
Yes, we
People
did.
started being expected to eat at home or get
Yes.
your food and take it home,
Right,
and the
clean outs,
disposal,
everything else. while
all
they're
of
trying
those
to stay
things,
busy.
and then of course we got growth.
Yes.
If we're 1,000 people a year coming to Bedford, and there's some numbers that suggest that could be right.
Yeah.
School probably knows something about that. Then again, all those things attribute to
Yes.
the cost to dispose, which we have no choice but deal with.
Right.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, our human resources folks are in the house. I believe your report's in your packet.
Good afternoon. You all have your report that was submitted in your packet. So you have the data in front of you on new hires and those that left the organization. Those are pretty low. Right now, you can see a lot of stability within the organization. Only 5 people brought in with only 2 choosing to leave the organization, so that's always a good sign. In addition to that, we have very few job openings right now. I'm working on an offer letter right now for a custodian position. We have added the youth service officer position to the courts. That's a full-time that just started advertising this week. So there's a little bit of movement there. You can see we've hired corrections officers, we've hired 2 firefighters, a part-time animal control, part-time deputy clerk general. We've hired some AEMTs, EMTs, and then the custodian. The one that you all may be more interested in with the SROs, I posted the last time I reported that we posted. We've had a lot of activity. As of now, we're advertising through Monday, which is the 31st, and we have 5 offers already that we're prepared to extend. So that would leave 4 slots. We're doing additional interviews next week as well. So there is a lot of interest and there's a lot of good candidates. I think, and not to put words in the sheriff's department's mouth, but I think it's more the people are there. It's just trying to get the equipment quick enough to get the people. So we have 5 already that I'm going to get in and have before school starts is the goal. So right there at it. So.
That's exciting.
Yes, that is exciting. I wanted to add a little bit of additional information just because I know in my business a lot of this kind of becomes monotonous to you all. But I have the ability within the software to talk about traffic numbers and things and I can even break it down if you all were ever interested in one specific position. But I included the visitor traffic to our county website for our job postings, just so you all have an idea. And on June 26th, that was our highest traffic day with 132 visitors looking to see what we had posted. And I also included on there how many job boards that we post to when I advertise and I go live with a job position at the county on the county website. It automatically sends it to these 22 job boards that are listed at no additional cost to this county. So we're trying to use social media platforms, and I think the investment that you all provided some time ago with the software that was put in place is paying off huge in dividends and staying within the current market that you all have worked so hard to help our employees. You're starting to see 2 people at the organization, just a handful versus what we were seeing 12 and 24 months from this time. So I just wanted to show you all in case you ever have someone in the county ask where all we post. Here's a list of all of the job boards that we post at. And then I've also provided what I do active and ongoing HR projects if you all have any questions for me.
I would clarify or make sure that you guys understand, of course, our HR has really evolved from 4 years ago when I got here. And it was a work in progress prior to my administration as well. But when she talks about posting and interviewing and those things, that's all done in coordination with that department head or the sheriff in the case of his organization. She's sort of like, the way I wanted it to be, and she's really turned out to be that, is really the conscience for those folks that really need to be deciding and figuring out how to do that. Are we meeting national standards, best practices? Are we making sure that we're meeting all ADA and all those components? So she's right there, and certainly she's leaning in and giving insight and coaching if there's areas that they want more information or they want to make sure that they're understanding. But the department heads and the departments that do that business are seeing all of these applicants. They're in this entire process on the journey as we figure out who is the best fit
Yes,
for those.
I'm mostly just to serve in a support role. I want to support the directors if they have HR needs and help them if they have questions, but ultimately, those final decisions and recommendations lie with their position, not mine.
And keep us out of,
Keep you out of trouble.
there you
The
go.
best I
So we got our job descriptions and our policies are all.
I'm working on
Pay scales
personnel
are all
policy
tied
updated, but
to
your
that.
your pay scale is in good shape. All of your job descriptions have been revamped, including the one for the fire marshal that was just adopted July 1. We already have an updated job description for that position. I've updated archives from part-time to a full-time role as well. So I try to make a list of things that you are considering in your budget that are specific to HR to keep up on top of those. And so there's a notebook in the HR office for each department that has all of their information.
I have another question while she's on the SROs. Is that money, help me remember, is that through the sheriff's department?
So the state, it's my understanding, and Dr. Garrett, you tell me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding the money, the sheriff's department will submit like a grant application for that money, and then they meet the specific criteria because it has to be a certified officer. There's certain criteria that has to be in there. They reimburse the
It goes
sheriff's
to the
department.
sheriff's department?
Yes, it works through.
In our unit group, that's the
That is
final,
correct.
or that's the last thing we heard as well. And on that note about the SROs, there have been some people who talked about there was hand wringing prior to the budget and would we need additional funds that we didn't have? And really what happened out of such a negative and horrible thing that happened in Nashville, when the state stepped up and actually, we were already under the gun trying to figure out how we were going to find new SRO positions, about, was it 9 of them or so?
Seven.
Well, plus.
7 started out.
Plus
and
the
then 9
two,
was
so,
floaters.
right, so 9 positions just by itself, at 75,000, if that's the good number, and that's the number the state's using, you can see that's a whole lot of money that the county didn't have. And then what happened whenever they actually did step up and say, we're gonna provide it, and we're gonna provide one per eligible school, that also not only took that burden totally away from us, it also relieved some funds because they're paying for the officer slots that we had been paying for, which allowed us to reinfuse that back into public safety and education, whatever part they might have been contributing to it. So those were the things that shifted at the last minute that put us on a much better footing to find ourselves with a balanced budget without having to look deep for other resources. But based on the penny's worth that would do easy math, $100,000, and you needed $900,000 worth of money, you were talking about 9 cents just over SROs, not anything else that we were able to touch and address in the budget. So thank God the state of Tennessee has stepped up and leaned in at a time when we were all struggling to make sure we had that resource in the classrooms at the campuses. And so that really took a lot of pressure off of us at the last minute, that otherwise, we'd have been facing a different model, whenever the budgets actually got passed.
Right, and in regards to the equipment, you know, so many things are still on back order, you know, just trying to order all of the things in a timely manner. But I do know that the department is also, you know, working towards any type of grant opportunity. I've had some conversations with them on things that may alleviate on the equipment costs too.
Fire got some good news too, I guess we'll talk about that when the time comes with those guys as well,
Okay.
all right?
All right,
Is
thank
that
you.
it? Great. Archives?
Well, in the month of June for the Archives and Records Center, we have gone through and had one of our higher number of visitors and reference questions, both modern records and historic records. We've had several requesting things through us related to their star on their driver's license, as well as name changes and things like that. We have had, I know you like to hear about interesting researchers, and Mr. Green, former county mayor over in Murray County, has an idea that he does his own tours. And so he's calling it the Circle, and it's making a circle through Bell Buckle all the way through Shelbyville, all the way down to Petersburg and back around to Murray County. And he's really excited about this whole area and things that he's not aware of, and making Petersburg a spotlight. He apparently just thinks a lot of Petersburg and what they're doing down there. But we're focusing on all the kind of historic detail that he would like for Bedford County. We are working still in their attic with the trustees' records, and it's a slow go. We're averaging between April and June of this year, we only averaged the retention and destruction of proper records about 20 cubic feet per month. But what we're doing is getting those trustee records that Tanya Davis's office would like for reference and research for those, and getting them organized, which that whole batch in the attic has been really jumbled. And they even got jumbled in with the tax assessors. So it's been a slow go, and of course this is June and it's kind of hot up there. We've been really excited to continue to have volunteers through Tennessee Achieves, also through just interest in the public. As I said up front, we are averaging 50-50 of visits, but also 50% of what we're doing is through email. And so that's slow and tedious for researchers, but the volunteers have helped tremendously to do all that we've been doing. And of course, we had a really neat tour this last month of June with the kids from Thomas School came over. They walked over and did the full tour, and then got to quiz the mayor on lots of interesting things, weren't they?
Tough crowd.
All kinds of fun things. In being June at the last of the fiscal year, I thought I'd look a little bit at the year as a whole, the 22-23. I looked at it as a reset year for me. When I came, we were doing a lot of things, and COVID hit, and we weren't getting to do any of them. And so our visitation, both the researcher and assisting the other departments, our research numbers have doubled in this year, this fiscal year. I think that's a very good thing. I've been doing workshops and the tours, and more people are coming in, so to do research of all of, you can imagine, every subject. The records that we're putting in storage, we've done that for the whole year in the records center. I have now 3 rooms of solid shelving, 2 of which are going to be locked, double locked for the more secure records down there. And so through the year, we've been putting down there about another 100 to 200 cubic feet of records. So we have had a lot of things, and I'm really proud that we've been able to accomplish things in this last fiscal year. The records center, the air conditioning is up and running really well for the care, preservation, long-term of the records. Those shelving materials are up. We've really improved our outreach through all those tours and workshops, and I really enjoy speaking to all the garden clubs and the ladies clubs and the men's clubs, the Rotary and all of those. So that's been a really uptick too. So those are the kind of things that I have seen this year for the reset for this fiscal year, and I'm just looking forward to a lot of more things coming up. So, any questions?
The awning on the back, did you ever get a bid for it?
No, I've not done that. I was kind of waiting on that and to know what was gonna happen with the brick jail, because I don't want a lot of things coming and going through that and the historic rock jail, and, you know, to swap it around. And, so I was just kind of waiting to see what happened with all that deconstruction of that other jail, and see what happens, so.
She's got some other things that we're gonna go ahead and get in the hopper, working on
Right.
some paint touch-up and some things.
Yeah, we're
out
looking,
front.
I would really like to get the front spiffed up, in that connection with the possible removal of those buildings, and get it painted. It really needs some paint on the metal and so forth, not the brick, but the other, so those kind of things are in the new year, in the new fiscal year. Anything else?
Thank you. All right, architects, Dr. Garrett, surely you have something to say.
Ooh, we've got plenty going on. So community, we're trying our best to get in, moving in furniture, just right at the wire, trying to get it done by Tuesday. Cartwright is really coming up. They have done second floor. I have some pictures from the second floor this week. The gym walls are going up, so we're moving right along there. And then trying to get a design for Thomas and Liberty. Moving right along.
A lot going on. Any other thoughts or comments? Okay. Then we're ready for monthly reports.
And you've got a copy of your monthly financial report. And we were delayed getting this because we're having to close the books, and this was last minute, so we just finished it today. So, we didn't want to defer it if we could help it, but if you look at it, you can see at the first page, as far as the general fund, we collected 109% of our budget, which is good. Page 1.
Okay.
And on the third page, we only expended 86% of the budget, so we'll have money that goes to fund balance. Fund 122 is the drug control fund. We collected $450 more than we budgeted. It's a small fund. So anyway, that's 115% of revenues. We have very little expense. The next one's highway fund. We collected 94% of the budget, expended 93% of the budget.
Ooh, that's tiring.
That's what we do, sir.
That's right.
Okay, the next one is page 7 is schools. We collected page 6. We collected 93% of the budget and expended 88%. And I'm going through all of these because it's year end. Federal programs, we collected 63% and expended 63%. That's thrown in and out, so it should come out very even. Child nutrition collected 107% of the budget, expended 91%. And page 10 is school age care program. They collected 93% and expended 84%. And the last is debt service, 151, page 11, excuse me, it's not the last. It's the last big fund. We collected 135% of the budget and expended 99%. And that's how it should end, because all of that is debt payments. We should spend almost 100%. Now, we had some, I've told you about this in previous meetings, there was an increase in interest. Some of that is because of the grant money that we had. We had $30 million in ARP money and ESSER money, so with that combined, that's kind of one time, but we still should have some pretty good interest earnings because of the rates. Page 13 is, page 12 is the capital projects fund. This one, we didn't have any revenues in it, we were just expending the balance of it. And that's the general capital projects fund. The next one is the, page 13, education capital projects fund. We collected 82% of what we budgeted and expended 77%. Now, this says $8 million in there. This is money we transferred over because of the new school. We had to receive the money in the capital projects fund on page 14 and then transfer it over to the school side so we could use it for the building. So the last page is the capital projects fund for the county. We collected 83% and expended 73%. So But when you see that 8 million is coming in one fund, going out, going to the other fund, coming in and going out. Any questions about the financial? Okay, the next one is the analysis of property taxes. You can see how we ended compared to last year. And when you look at these funds like county general, you're going to see a big increase, but this is due to the tax increase that's in that fund. So the highway fund had a tax increase also, so you expect an increase. General purpose school is pretty consistent. Debt service is pretty consistent, so you can see the total we collected in addition over last year was 5.7 million. Property tax collections prior year, we were down 437,000. On the next page, clerk and master collections, 188,000 over the prior year. And what happens if they don't collect that in the trustee's office? It goes to the clerk and master so they can collect it. Sales tax collections are up 2.2 million over last year. And the last page is mineral severance tax, and it was lower than the same time last year by 23,000. And that's all based on the amount of rock that's hauled out of the quarries. Okay, the next, any questions on that one? Okay, the next page is juvenile detention. We ended the year with a $252,000 loss, which is kind of what we consider break even. So that came in pretty close to what we thought. Traffic school, the next page, we had a $93,000 profit. And then the last report is the analysis of certain expenditures like travel and different things, and you can see that everything after the budget amendments was within budget. So that's my report.
All right. Comments or questions? All right. Eager beaver over there. Right up next is our other reports is EMS.
So we finished the year at about 15% under budget. We collected 1.9,041,479.37 for the year. We ran 7,483 calls. We just started another EMT class, which we appreciate. That helps everybody out, adding more EMTs to the public. We're working on ambulance bids right now, which is looking like it's going to be another problem because they're out about a year to 2 years. So we're still waiting on the ambulance that we ordered over 12 months ago last year. I haven't received it. That's continuing to put miles and maintenance costs on our current fleet. And we got struck by lightning the other day in the storms, as most of you might have seen on Facebook. We're still tracing problems, issues with the electricity and fax machines, and we're working with IT to get our fax machines repaired and switched over to a digital format. So I've got
Questions for EMS? Plenty busy, call line continues to be a challenge.
continues to be a challenge, but we
Perfect. So we need to vote on the reports, those, the monthly reports and these others, separate, or them together, and then we have the quarterly report after that. So we need a motion to approve the reports.
Motion to approve, send it to the full commission.
Just approve this one, the next one go to the commission.
Motion to approve.
All right,
Second.
all right. So got a motion second. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, now quarterly report.
Okay, the quarterly report is basically the same information that in the monthly report, it's just summarized by quarter. And this one does have to go to the commission, so if you have any questions, we're glad to answer.
We just need. What is it? Okay, gotcha. All right, so we need a motion to send the quarterly report that he just went over to the commission for approval.
So moved.
Scott seconds it, all right. All right, so motion second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right. And then we have EMS write-offs. Looks like it's about $12,000. So you should see the sheet that lists the, you won't see the name of the people, but you'll see the account and the amount. And this is where we've sent to collection and exhaust, they come back and says that it's not collectible. And this satisfies audit, state audit, whenever we adjust the books.
That's right. This is the right year.
Right, so they can't independently adjust it without us. All right. So motion to send it to the commission?
Send.
All right,
Second.
all right, all in favor? Any opposed? How about other business? Did I miss something that we should have got on the agenda today? Something that needs to be brought up? I don't hear anything there, that's good news. All right, how about announcements? You'd have got one? All right, that's not bad.
I think Black Creek's having something the first Saturday night in August, I
So I think
believe,
that's
or
right.
something, but I don't know, I haven't got.
I do think they're always the first Saturday of the month.
Also second Saturday.
Okay.
Well, we're not having anything more coming.
Now they are having their.
Black Creek, Black Creek, I think it's first and fourth.
They get a big crowd too.
Any other announcements? It smells good when you're out
We're having the BCS kickoff Friday morning, 7:45.
7:45.
Some of the commissioners to come out.
Yeah, and I'm planning to be right there, smiling with you first thing in the morning.
There's a pep rally, right now.
Pep rally,
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure you bring your pom-poms, all the things.
A clown hair.
School starts August 1st,
Yeah.
and we still need bus drivers and math teachers and science teachers. You're looking for a job.
Not available.
Look at it.
Yeah, the Grams will be out on that math part.
And the science part.
Oh, yeah.
In the driving part.
And
Just,
Oops.
we're the dysfunctionals. All right, is there any other announcement? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.